Electrical 2015, and basically what's new in 2015. Because there has been significant enhancements, and a lot of enhancements have been introduced in 2015 version, including some of the brand new features, and some features have been enhanced, and we'll go through individually one by one. So I'll keep this webinar rather flexible and casual. So if there is any question that you guys may have, please just send me your question in that go to webinar control panel. So, or if you have any question, you can raise your hand and I will unmute you, and then also I can listen to what question you've got. All right, so let's get going to the next slide. To know my introduction, by qualification, I'm a mechatronics engineer. Been with InSCAD for 2 years now, and I've been supporting SolidWorks Electrical. Prior to that, I worked as an electrical and control engineer for about 4 or 5 years in the field, and here I am for 2 years now at InSCAD. All right, some of the very important and key enhancements that have been introduced to SolidWorks Electrical in 2015 is a tool called Dynamic Connector Creation, or Dynamic Connector. So we will look at it, each and individual enhancement individually by going into SolidWorks Electrical, and we will demo individual enhancements. But just to give you an overview, what are the key enhancements? And there's a formula management have been enhanced as well. There's about 40 or plus variables available now, or the new variables in Formula Manager. So there are a lot more options, a lot more variables for people, for users to use them on their formulas for their wire numbers, for component numbers, for drawing numbers, and different sort of numbering systems in SolidWorks Electrical. There's also an advanced user right management system in there as well. So you basically can have a user access rights in there. Every user will have his own username and password to log into SolidWorks Electrical, and that username and password will entitle him or to certain rights, what he can do in the software. So we'll go ahead and look at it individually, what we've got. And there's some significant announcements in 3D routing side as well, and the benefits of that, and also the features, what are there, we'll get in there to show you. Feature by feature, some of the cool and important features. What are there? So overall, the performance has been boosted, and with the larger layout type drawings or larger drawings, it's a lot smoother to work with larger drawings. Advanced environmental archival. So what that means, all the users who used to do archive of their environments to back up their projects and symbols and libraries and everything in SolidWorks Electrical, now there's advanced tools available to do their backups, and we'll go and have a look at it. What are they? There's a draft site compatibility and use option. We can actually edit the symbols inside draft site, so we'll see what that is as well. Obviously, there's a bit of user interface enhancements as well. Updated multi-language support, so there are more languages that are supported now, and I'll show you what languages have been added in here as well. Now, this particular tool, line width in schematics, you can now manage individual line width on each and every for each and every wire type in schematics. You can also populate a components tree in SolidWorks Electrical from the Excel spreadsheet and the bill of material in Excel, and I'll show you how that gets done as well. Design analysis enhancement and multi-part association to the symbol. You can have multiple parts associated to a single symbol, so later on then you can just choose one part and delete all the others, and few other tools as well. There's design element import export tool as well, so you can actually export all your design information into an Excel file, and you can make modification into an Excel file and then bring it back and update all these changes from the Excel file as well. So first thing, let's go and have a look. What is advanced rights management? So let's go and we'll be looking at this presentation, one slide, and then I'll jump into software to show you what this feature is. So advanced rights management. Basically, in 2015, up until 2014, there was no user rights management system apart from just putting a password on your libraries to protect other users modifying your libraries. But now 2015 actually allows you to have 5 different levels of user access in SolidWorks Electrical. Admin rights, who has the right to do everything. Library manager, who can only modify things into the library but not really do many things about project and things. And project manager, project editor, and project contributor. So there's different levels of access and rights that you can give out to the different users. So how does it get managed? When you open up a SolidWorks Electrical, it presents a new login option, username and password. And here, then we can go and modify it. So, and also, as you can see, we've got export. We've got different options and different settings available for different level of users. So before we go further, let's go back into, open up my SolidWorks Electrical, which is there. And here it is asking me my username. So I'll type in Ali and my password. Okay. And okay. Now before we get into any project or anything, let's close this project manager. Go to Tools, Interface Settings, and there's a new tab up there called Rights Management. And in the Rights Management, we've got option to manage user rights or add it. In there, we've got different groups. For example, administrators, library managers, and different profiles and different tools available in this option. For example, and we can select, highlight the group, and create a new user in there, in that particular group, basically. So that's how it works in there. You can create new users. And once you create a new user, you can click on that user, select that user, go to Properties, and give them a username and password. Go to Feature Grid, and that's where you can see what rights are available to each and every user level. For example, admin has the rights of everything, and just a project editor can only send and receive messages from all connected users, but cannot do anything else. And then in few other things, you can edit project properties, duplicate the project for himself. Few other things. So there are different levels available, and different features would be available for different, depending on what username and password you would choose to log in. So that's a very good feature for companies who have a network license or multiple guys sharing the same library from the network. So they can have a different user access, so making sure not everyone can do everything, and gives you much better control that who can do what. Okay. Now, second thing, let's go back into presentation. And I'd like to show you second thing is dynamic. Let's go back. Connector creation. So what that is. Basically, up until now, we have only been allowed, there was a tool called, where I will go and take my mouse cursor, called Insert Black Box, to represent devices that you're not really designing in SolidWorks Electrical, but you are just representing them as they are interconnecting to other devices. Now we have a tool there called Insert Connector, and we'll go and see what that is. It's a dynamic tool, so dynamic connectors perhaps, that we will generate out from this tool. So let's go and have a look. What are they? And for that, I need to go into there, Project Manager, and open my SolidWorks Electrical Project Manager in there. Now, before we go further, we've got some filters available in 2015 as well that we can go and filter our projects by certain dates. We had filters in 2014 as well, but there are a lot more search fields available in 2015 in SolidWorks Electrical, so you can take those filters off. Now let's open up this project. Okay. And first thing we want to see is create a new schematic in this project, and so we can see what is the new tool about. So go to this new schematic, And what we want to do is that insert connector button, ask us to create a new connector or select an existing connector. Here we can come in, we can pick up manufacturers that we're looking for. For example, if we're looking for douche connectors, search, obviously pick this connector up, and this is a 12-pin SC16 and AWG 14 to 20 receptacle. So select this, hit OK, OK, and it's picking up, telling us to select a symbol. So we can select it now, but it's going to be generating symbol automatically as we've got a few different configurations, and I'll show you both these configurations. Now it's generating a symbol with 12 pins at the moment because on the left-hand side we have 12 pins selected. If I untick all, here you can say only one. And just go ahead and untick all the ones that we don't want. Shift select the ones. And untick that. Now obviously the symbol is much more smaller that we've got. So we can put this connector in there and obviously just put this connector in there as well, the next one. Now it automatically shows us on the left hand side the symbols that have been inserted for the first few pins, and we can still insert symbols for the remaining pins in there. So let's just drop this one, and it's the same connector, but it's just split into two different symbols as it could be on two different pages. Now there's another example. We can create a new connector again, and maybe this time look for 6 socket. It's got a female connectors. And this time, instead of selecting this configuration, I'm going to select a configuration called one symbol per pin. And maybe just drop my pin there. And I've got all my symbols dropped this way. So it really depends which configuration you choose, and that's how you can actually draw your symbols and automatically generate the symbols for the connector. As you can see, the difference between male pins and the female pin symbols are shown in there as well. Now, let's go back into presentation and just highlight the benefits of this feature. Now, a lot of companies in automobile or companies that are doing harnesses or companies that are working in maybe communication racks, you know that a lot of your schematics have a lot of connectors in there rather than having a lot of circuit breakers and contactors and things like that. So this would be a perfect tool for you to use in your schematics. Instead of drawing the symbol, you can just insert the connector, and based on the part number that you select from the it will draw the symbol automatically. Okay. Now let's go further. Advanced Formula Manager. Now that in itself is a very good feature that SolidWorks Electrical 2015 have introduced. We've always been using different formulas to manage our wire numbering system, to cable numbering and everything. And there's altogether about good 40 to 50 new variables that have been introduced in 2015. For example, you can now include a diameter, gauge, color, size, standard, signal, and all the other information about the wire on a wire numbering formula, and also some other information in there as well. We've got cables. You can now customize the cable formulas as well. Before we could never. Until 2014, we weren't able to do cable numbering according to the way we want. Now we can. And we go in. I'll show you all these features shortly when you go in there. How it looks like this, so you know, basically from there, and we've got a multiple formulas. So before we go any further, let's go and have a look what that can do. So I'm just going to go, and instead of just drawing one line, we go in basically into our project, configurations, and then project, and then we've got modified user interface in there as well, which is, I'll come back to that as well shortly about user interface. Now let's go to Mark first of all, so we can show you the formula manager, what has been introduced. For example, for the components, we go in and make a customized Mark, and for my components, I can click on this formula button, and it's a very neat, for the predefined formulas that it comes with, about a few different formulas. It shows you all of their recently used formulas. It will always show you the last 5 formulas being used. So I haven't not changed my formula at all. So it's not showing me formulas, my 5 recent formulas. Now variables available, obviously there are new variables available for us to use in the formula, and we can see from the variables in there. Okay. Now that improvement has been introduced throughout the drawing. We can go into Wire Style Manager, pick up one of those wires, for example, go into the properties of that wire, and also can see the formula manager has now been introduced and improved in everything. And there's a lot more variables available for wire numbering as well. Okay, so that in itself is a very good, very advanced and cool feature. We'll come back and to look at a few other features as well as we will go on. Next thing is also available. We have in our SolidWorks 2014, we can now actually import and export from Excel spreadsheet. There'll be could either be a bill of material, list of cables that we can import that in from SolidWorks Electrical. And we're not generating a new things. This is what we use to generate the new things. There are different tools available, but this is basically what we use we can export the bill of material, list of cables, and all that information into an Excel file, and we can make some modifications in Excel file and import that Excel file back into SolidWorks Electrical, and this will update all these changes into our drawings inside SolidWorks Electrical. Now, Advanced Environmental Archive, what it is basically, I'll show you that shortly, and it's a very good way of backing up your systems and your projects and perhaps your older libraries. Up until now, you would have to manually remember when do you and when should you archive. Here you can set up some automatic dates and few other customization tools in there. So let's go and have a look what this tool offers. So from SolidWorks there, this button there, or we can go into the file. We've got this button called Archive Environment. We click on this Archive Environment. It obviously goes and connects to a database and gives us 2 options. We go next. And here are the new options available that we can choose. So custom, all objects in our library, objects modified by a certain user, if you've got multiple users in your network, or objects are modified since the last time you backed up, basically. So you can also set yourself automatic reminders, so every 30 days, every 20, or whatever days you put in, it will automatically remind you when you need to do that. So you can go and change the date. And obviously, I've never created an archive in my SolidWorks Electrical, so just showing us the built date of the software when it was built. So we go in next. And obviously, we go through different procedures, and we can, that's environmental archive, and that we can go through and archive everything as we wish to. So let's cancel that. We don't need to archive it right now. So back into presentation. We can also assign multiple parts to the parts, manufacturer part to a single symbol. So that allows us to later select one final part. So as at the beginning of the project, you're not sure which one you're going to be using. For example, Schneider or different part numbers. You can select both of them, either Schneider or ABB, and then you can go basically finalize the component, the one that you're going to use at the end of the project. Line width is schematic. That's something very good feature. I'm just going to go there and show you shortly. What can we do? So just to give you an example, we can change multiple different types of widths in there. All right, so let's go back into SolidWorks Electrical and draw some wires. So obviously from the schematics tab, let's say we're working on a three-phase system, and I start drawing my wires. Now we just need to change the width of this ground or positive earth. I can right-click on it, wire style properties, and simply type in the line width here. I can just type in maybe 2. And as you can see, we can now individually change the line width this time before, and up until 2014, that feature was not available in SolidWorks Electrical. You had to modify the width of the entire layer that contains all the wires, and that means changing the width of all the wires at the same time. So there you go. So we can easily change the width of lines in there. All right. And the next feature, design rules analysis. Obviously, there are a lot more design rule analysis in SolidWorks Electrical, and that we used to have up until 2014. For example, we can now calculate and generate the report based on duct filling ratio. It can give you a report from the panel saying all your ducts have been filled by 70%, 30%, or whatever. You can also check the wire section and gauge reports as well, whether they matches up the terminals or not. We can also check if there's an inconsistency in the cable origin and destination as well. And apart from, there's a lot more rule checks available in 3D as well that we will go and have a look at it shortly. Okay. Overall, the whole performance has been the CAD engine behind SolidWorks Electrical has been upgraded as well. So overall, handling with the larger files is much better. And I'll show you a few other tools inside SolidWorks Electrical, and some very important and good tools about SolidWorks Electrical as well. So it's all done and to improve the user experience, basically, with SolidWorks Electrical, to make it more easy to use, make it more place the tools available where in more appropriate places. So for example, we've got the user interface update in there. We've got user interface update in the project configuration. We also have a few more things in there. So before we move further, let's go in and check out what features we have got available new in 2015. Okay. Now one thing is also available that we've got right now in SolidWorks Electrical 2015. We can right-click on our project and simply go to project properties, and there's an option now there called statistics. That basically gives you an option straight away showing there's one book in the project, there's 5 folders, there's 16 drawings in there, and it's got 4 locations and all the other. It's got 36 components in there, and also it's got 37 wires, and with the 30 different wire numbers. So obviously it's got 2 common wires in there as well. And this project overall has 4 cables in there. So it gives you a very quick snapshot of what is currently inside the project, and it's always it's live, it's up to date all the time. All right, project configuration again, and that tool it has been enhanced as well. The whole UI user interface. We've got different options available for different places. As you can, I'll take you from the marks point of view. We've got different options available than we had in 2014. Okay. Now, taking you into the library side, obviously the online portal and a few other things as well, which also been enhanced with the introduction of SolidWorks Electrical 2015. One tool, let's go to library, for example. We've got a manufacturer parts manager, symbol managers, and the tools that we've got available. Let's go and have a look. So for example, we've got circuit breaker symbol and this one, and we wanted to modify it. So typically you have been modifying the symbol by double-clicking on it. It opens a symbol in the background, and you change any modifications as you need to do. For example, adding more attributes and things like that. Now, if you go back to the symbol manager and just right-click on it, there's an option now there called Open with Draft Site. So what that does, it actually opens that symbol, SolidWorks Electrical symbol inside DraftSight, and for the users who are more used to of using tools like DraftSight or any other basic CAD package, they can now do their modifications inside DraftSight. And if you're used to using more, the command tool. So for example, if I just go and delete this one, TX1, and close this, obviously save it before I close it, and that's instantly updated there as well. There is no TX1 anymore. It's just so it's instant updates the symbols inside SolidWorks Electrical Library. Now, Manufacturer Parts Manager, we've got 2 different options. For example, if you go and look for connectors, we've got different options available. I can go and hit search. It shows that we've got now 8,000 plus connectors in our library, and obviously there's a lot more available online that I haven't added yet in there. So we've got different connectors. For example, this one, TSI. Now, if you need to download a 3D model or a 2D footprint of any component, you can actually, there is now a tool called 2D footprints in 3D SolidWorks. You can go in and look for the part. If it's available online portal, it'll come back and say whether the part does exist on the SolidWorks 3D Content Center or Trace Parts Online, basically, which is back the portal of SolidWorks Electrical. So we can close this, and same thing with the 2D footprint, and we can look for a 2D footprint that's available in there as well. Now, online content, we can click on it to go to the online content, which I'm going to go there shortly. Let's go and have a look at it, online content, what's available. Now, this is the portal, obviously, which has been also introduced and enhanced, and there are a lot more parts and manufacturers available. For example, CKD. It also has a bunch of solenoids and some parts available from this manufacturer. Huge connectors there as well. Glen Air, and they've got connectors from Harting and different options available in there, basically. And a lot more manufacturer. And more manufacturer keeps getting added time to time. Now, if you go and look for Trace Parts Online, which is also a customized version of SolidWorks Electrical, for SolidWorks Electrical, and it's got different categories. You can go through catalogs, and we've got different options available and different manufacturers available on Trace Parts Online. And this Trace Parts Online now also offers a file format for SolidWorks Electrical to download as well. Now, one thing as well on the online portal, while I'm on the Google Chrome, SolidWorks Electrical is now a solution partner of Rockwell Automation, so we've got a very comprehensive library of Rockwell Automation, and obviously all the other, most of the other major electrical manufacturer. We are SolidWorks Electrical is now solution partner to Rockwell Automation. Okay. Now, populate from BOM. What that is, bill of material, basically. So what can we do? Now, we can actually, a lot of users start off their bill of material in Excel file. That's the way they start, because that's the start of the initial quotation process. They put the list down, the list of components they're going to be using and things like that there. So we can have this tool available called import from bill of material, and we can populate the list of components inside SolidWorks Electrical from the Excel spreadsheet. So we can populate our project tree or component tree from Excel spreadsheet by using that tools right there. And as you can see, A123 in the Excel file there, I've imported them as the part components, and all these components are now in there, and I can then insert them onto my schematics as I would need them. Okay, now before we jump onto 3D, I just want to conclude a few other things onto the 2D side, what more is available. So there are a lot more features available in 2015, and there are minor features. We've got new tabs available called Modify and Draw. So obviously, the whole UI has been upgraded and enhanced to give you the right tools where you need it, basically. Okay. Now let's jump into the 3D side and see what that 3D option is. So SolidWorks Electrical 3D also brings a lot of enhancements at the same time as 2D. And we've got, for example, some of the checks that it can do if there are duplicated components, if the part that we have inserted in assembly does not have any connection point, if the assembly associated to electrical component, and few other. Even if you've got extra connection points, it'll put that up as well. And also, if you've got some non-electrical connection points, such as pneumatic or hydraulic connection point, it'll tell you that as well. So we would then need to route the wires or cables, pipes and tubes from the piping and tubing option. Okay, and also we'll give you a warning if there is no part available. So before we move on, let's go and have a look what that feature does. Now we go and open SolidWorks Electrical, Tools, SolidWorks Electrical, obviously Project Manager is an option available that we can go in. Same thing, Project Manager. And also, we now have an option they call CAD File Downloader, which is similar. You can go through manufacturer part, you can search for a part number, hit the search button, and look for that. It will then look for the 3D file on the portal if it's available or not. Now, let's open one of the 3D assemblies that is currently linked to that project that I have open right there. All right, so that's the project. On the list on the left-hand side, I've got the same list of components available in there as well. Obviously, if I have 3D parts available somewhere, I will quite easily right-click on them and insert them as I will need to. For example, insert, and that's the 3D part associated to that. So we will, but all these parts have already been in there, and I can check simply by clicking on this button which says Hide Already Inserted Components in my assembly. And now that you can see, I don't have any components showing in there that I need to insert. Right, I've got this contactor which I can right-click and put it there onto my tin rail. Now, all these components, once they're inserted in my assembly, we can simply go into SolidWorks Electrical, Tools, and SolidWorks Electrical. Simply go and hit the button called Route Wires. And make sure you've got this. I've got this box tick called Show Errors. Let me take this box. So again, to all the users who are currently viewing this webinar, we have got who have been using SolidWorks Electrical 2D and 3D. The process of what it's going through right now is basically reading what's in the schematic, which component is connected to what component, using what size of the wire, what size of the cable that it's in there, and obviously it's looking for a pathway if there is any, which I have drawn a small pathway, just a horizontal line there where my mouse is, and a small line up on that door as well. So that's the process. And so what it's doing, basically, I'm going to open up my electrical 2D just to show you what it is putting into the schematic right now. So it's basically routing all these wires that I have, basically contactors, I've got motor, and all these things, and I've got another schematic in my project. So it's routing all these wires and components into my electrical schematic. That's what it's doing right now. And obviously, as you can see, we've got more tools available for cross-referencing. We also have a tool for like a table this way, and there's different style of tables available for cross-referencing in SolidWorks Electrical. So for KM1, whatever is connected to KM1, from whichever place these wires are coming from, it has been shown in SolidWorks Electrical. Okay, now back into 3D world, it's come up with a routing analysis and telling us some of the components that I have in my does not have any manufacturer part associated to them. or those ones were not inserted in my assembly. So I can then go and look for why I did not insert them in my assembly. Missing connection points. Obviously, I had few components without connection points. It's instead of you manually finding out why the wire is not routing and doing all the troubleshooting, this does it for you. You know it straight away why it did not route the wire to contact that KM1. Obviously, if there is any invalid connection points, it tells you there as well. And if a component is missing a 3D part or something, it will tell you there as well that 3D part is missing from that electrical component. And once it has drawn all the wires as it needed with the right colors and everything, in there. And the only thing which I have there as a routing part, if I click on this routing part, as you can see, I've got this 3D sketch drawn up in there, and it followed that pathway, basically, and that particular wire. Apart from that, I don't have to do anything for my ducts. It automatically knows where the ducts are and puts the wires into SolidWorks into those proper locations based on the segregation rules that we have applied on there. Okay. We've looked at what are some of the tools available. Now, just some examples where SolidWorks Electrical could be used, and it is currently being used right now with the help of some of the tools available currently. We've got major customers in switchgear, alternative energy. We've got companies who are making skid-based systems. We've got companies who are doing some structural wiring, and obviously in the middle we've got some larger mining machinery equipment or machine builders, and also some automation control board or communication racks as well, which is I've listed there as a central office, and a few other things. So I'll end my What's New 2015 webinar here, but just so you know, there will be another webinar in about 2 weeks' time in February, 11th of February, which will be focused overall on SolidWorks Electrical. How can we simplify the current electrical design or electrical schematics by using SolidWorks Electrical? So that's on 11th February. But if someone has any questions, please ask me now. This webinar will be distributed in a Excel, in an email to everyone. I'm going to stop my recording now, but if you have any questions, please fire through. I'll be available I'll stay here for the next few